themselves. To learn more, log on to nationalguard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area. Sponsored by the New Mexico Army National Guard. Aired by the New Mexico Broadcasters Association and this station.
Where was the first time you remember seeing The Addams Family? Was it the creepy cartoons from creator Charles Addams, the television show back in the 60s, maybe the movies back in the 90s, or maybe this will be your first time? Alamogordo Music Theater is proud to present their fall show, Addams Family, the musical. It's Gomez, Morticia, Fester, and the rest of the family in a glitzy, gloomy musical full of memorable characters and just a touch of the macabre. It's your final weekend to catch the show. Show dates are November 9th and 10th at 7 p.m. Tickets are available in advance at Books Revisited in the White Sands Mall from any cast member or at the door. Sure, they're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious, and spooky, and altogether ooky. It's Addams Family, the musical from Alamogordo Music Theater, celebrating 60 years of timeless stage memories.
This is the KNMZ Football Roundtable, Season 31. Once again, 5 local business people and a competition picking winners from the best high school, college, and NFL games every week. Manny Gonzalez from Charles Garland and Harris Agency, Donna Columbus of First National Bank, Brandon Burling from Desert Sun Auto Group, Timothy Brock of Christ Community Church, and Jake Roberts of Caldwell Banker Sutterth Nelson. Now, let's get to the picks. ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome into the KNMZ Football Roundtable. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday. No football here in the area coming up tonight. It's a little weird, and got a little bit of light crew right now. We think Tim's usually along here in a little bit, but we also understand if Tim's not here, congratulations to Tim. Had welcomed a new baby last week. I think it was a little earlier than expected, but sounds like everybody's happy and healthy there. So if he's not here, we certainly understand. Brandon's busy with a customer, and Brian's busy cooking hot dogs for First National Bank. So, well, we'll start off with Manny Gonzalez of Charles Garland and Harris. Manny, how are you?
Well, good morning. It's Friday, and boy, isn't this a nice change in the weather?
Yep.
I'm ready for some fall weather, and we finally got it today. And on the eve of Veterans Day weekend, on Veterans Day, a shout out to all our veterans out there for your service to our country. Thank you.
Absolutely. We certainly appreciate you, and if you get the chance, make sure you thank a veteran. Don't have to do it just on Veterans Day. Whenever you feel like it, that's a great thing. So, as I mentioned, Brian Smysett from First National Bank not here. Stop by. They're doing a cookout from 11 to 1 over at First National Bank. Go by and get yourself a hot dog and say hello to him and everybody else over there at First National Bank. Brandon Burling from Desert Sun Auto Group. He hopes he'll be here, either him or Justin, but they're both busy with customers, which we always encourage. And I thought maybe you wouldn't be here because it's been a little bit of a crazy week for Timothy Brock from Christ Community Church, but here he is ready to make some picks. What's up, Tim?
Hey, yeah, crazy week. For those of that don't know, I guess since no one else is here to give a prelim, I'll give me 30 seconds. Last Saturday, my 30-week-old, pregnant wife of 30 weeks gave birth, so that was very scary, troubling. Baby's in the NICU, but doing really well. Lots happened in the last 6 days of my life. Been driving to El Paso every day. Today's going to be the first day I don't. My wife's at the Ronald McDonald House. Baby is getting bigger. Found out he's 3.7 pounds today, which is good. So thank you, everybody, for your prayers, your thoughts, the kind texts that I received. And, it's nice to be able to do something a little less serious and be at a NICU, talk some sports for an hour, and anyway, I'm happy to be here today.
Well, congratulations, Tim. God is good.
God is good. You're right.
Yeah, you just thought you were going to be moving last weekend, and now...
Yeah, and I was moving last weekend, and so there's all sorts of craziness going on.
And Jake Roberts from Caldwell Banker Sudworth Nelson. I don't know how you follow that, Jake, but
Yeah, sorry, Jake.
It is what it is.
How was your week?
I'm used to following Tim, but it's fine. Congrats, Tim. That's awesome. Big shout out to the veterans. Just like Manny said, it's a great weekend. We shouldn't just be celebrating them on the weekend, but let's just make it a point to do that. This weather's great. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Veterans Day Parade tomorrow, by the way, at 10 a.m. down 10th Street.
And so, Charles, I was just about to say, I was supposed to have jury duty today, and I was going to have Cesar Acosta from our staff come and fill in for me. So my preparation for this show is nil. So I'm going to really just kick back and let Tim and Jake, go at it and listen to and have some fun for a change.
I suspect Tim hasn't had much time to prep either.
Not much.
You're correct.
Manny is wearing his Tularosa colors, by the way, for those that can't see. Obviously, if you could see in here, I'd be a little concerned. I don't know how that's happening, but that's where we're starting today. Tularosa on the road. I was a little surprised that they didn't get a home playoff game. Zuni won their district, number 8 seed. Maybe didn't play as tough a schedule. The more I kind of looked into it, Zuni played a pretty good schedule this year, and they're 7-3. So I think they're certainly, you can argue they're deserving of getting the home game, but I think Tularosa certainly had a little bit of an argument there as well. And by the way, the Thunderbirds, I feel like that's a nickname that doesn't get used enough in sports, and it's a good one. The Thunderbirds, Zuni, that's their name. I got kind of a kick out of that, but I may be the only one. Wildcats 5-5, lost to Dexter. They were in that game through about a half, and then Dexter pulled away in the second half, so weren't able to pull home the district championship, but I think they're a dangerous team come postseason time. I can give you guys that Brandon picked Thule. Brian picked Zuni, so he's going with the home team in this game. This is a 3:30 in the afternoon game coming up tomorrow. Manny?
And again, this was one that I would have taken time to really study had I had the time, because I really don't know much about Zuni. I know they're 7-3. I know they've had 6 wins. I know they put up 394 points and only given up 233, and I know they're at home.
And so, they're undefeated at home, too. They're 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0 at home. And so that's more than I needed to know. But I'm still going to go Tularosa on the road. I think Tularosa's got one more big surprise at them, and I think it's tomorrow.
Okay. Tim?
Yeah, I'm like Manny. I didn't even, believe it or not, I did not even know there was a Zuni in New Mexico.
I
honestly didn't.
It's south of Gallup, for those wondering.
Yeah, they've only played one common opponent. That's the Lordsburg Mavericks. I think Thule, man, there's something about their mindset. They know how to play. They're well coached. It's a culture that they have, and they expect to win. I think as a 9 seed, they can use that as some bulletin board material of going in there feeling maybe a little underappreciated. Yeah, like you said, Zuni's 7-3. That's a legit record. Winning their district, that's important. But I think Thule's going to go on the road. It's a long road trip. I'm surprised Manny didn't give us the miles, but that's a preparation issue. I understand.
Right.
And anyway, I'm going to go with Thule on the road, and I'm pulling for him big time this weekend.
I can tell you it's a long road trip. I think they're going to take the back way. They won't go through Albuquerque when I went to Gallup last year for baseball, taking 6 and over to 40. I think they go through like Magdalena and stuff like that to get there, but it's a long road trip. Jake?
Manny said it. Thunderbirds are 4-0 at home, and they have the better record. Now that's not to say that I don't know who they've played. It does look like it might be a little sketchy. I think Tularosa is going to give them everything that they can handle, but defensively, on the stats that I was able to look up, they look pretty similar. I'm going to go ahead and take offense on this one. I think Zuni is going to be just too much firepower for Tularosa to handle. Thule's been they have been a little sluggish with the ball. I just haven't seen enough out of the offensive production. Defense, traditionally, that's what they've had. They're still good, but I like Zuni at home on this one.
Yeah, common opponents Lordsburg, as Manny said, and Thule beat them a little bit more soundly. They both got Lordsburg at home, so it wasn't a case that Zuni had to go down to Lordsburg. And, Zuni's got some good opponents they played this year. Grants had a pretty solid season. They were in that game. Newcomb, who was very good in Class 2A, they lost to them earlier this year. And there was one other, I can't remember what the other defeat was this year for them. But their schedule wasn't bad. I do think Tularosa's was better overall. And I think this is an 8-9 matchup. It's a toss-up. I went into it feeling like maybe Zuni just got the bonus because they won their district, but I think they're a solid team, and I'm going to go with Tularosa, and it's just a simple coin flip game for me. I don't think that there's a huge advantage on either side. I'm going to go on the other side. I think Tularosa's defense is what I'm going to like in this game. I feel like they've played really well this year, and we'll see what happens. But I think the Thunderbirds definitely could win the game.
Not looking too much ahead to next week. The winner of this game gets to go to number 1 seed Hope Christian.
Hope hasn't played a full game in like a month when they play that game, because Laguna forfeited the final game of the season, and I think they won 50-0 in the previous game. And so, I mean, it's Hope being in Class 3A is kind of weird. Both Hope and St. Mike's, just because usually they're playing bigger schools than this, and so they could very easily dominate. I think kind of the similar situation that Alamogordo was in. They got to play some smaller schools the last couple of years, and we saw some improvement across the board for them. Some of the other 3A matchups, by the way, Robertson taking on Raton in the 5-12. West Las Vegas hosts Cobre on Saturday as well. I think all these games are Saturday games. And Hatch Valley is hosting Nimi. So a lot of long road trips in there. Cobre to West Las Vegas. Raton to Robertson isn't too bad. All right. Moving to Class 5A. Santa Teresa going to Albuquerque to take on Valley. I believe this is at Milne, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Is it at Milne? Okay. So this one's at Milne Stadium. And Valley 6-4 this season. They were in the Los Lunas, Belen, Valencia district this year. And first time they had dropped down. Valley had been that team that had always played up in top classification. This year they finally decided to move to where they should be based on their school population. Santa Teresa, we've talked about plenty this year. They're having the best season they've ever had. 8-2 this year, with a loss to Deming, a loss to Goddard. They've had a very good year, but I think slightly disappointing for the way that they started and the fact that they didn't win that district, that Deming came away with that district championship. So an opportunity to prove that none of this was a fluke and go on the road and beat an Albuquerque high school. I know that would be a big thing for Santa Teresa. Tip. Oh, by the way, Brian went with Valley. Brandon went with Valley. To give you a little... Since you're not here, they give you guys a little bit of advantage.
It's not like they're going to change their pick based on any kind of persuasive evidence we throw at them, which, if anybody is at home changing their picks because of our persuasive evidence, then you're not really listening to what we're saying, because we're just filling time with guessing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jake does extensive research.
Jake does do good research.
Yeah, he does. He reads everything Max Prep has to put online.
Which is very little, but I read it all.
Yes, you do.
All 2 paragraphs.
Yes.
I literally pick in between picks. So, no, I'm kidding. Kind of. Anyway. So, yeah, Santa Teresa, both of them, them and Valley both played Valencia again with just one common opponent. I'm simply basing it on the fact that Valley put a whoop on Valencia, 48-0. Santa Teresa squeezed by with a 14-7 win. Also, Valley always makes me reminiscent of the 90s basketball tournaments when Alamogordo used to play them. Big rivalry. The Valley Vikings. So I'm going to go with the Valley Vikings at home against ST.
Okay. Jake.
I'm taking the Vikings as well. Kind of looked at it a little bit. Looks like they're relying on their quarterback Velasquez for a lot of their production, both on the ground, on the air, and so for Santa Teresa. And so I kind of figure if the Vikings can bottle him up the way they spread the ball around, I think they have a really good chance. I mean, when you're such a single-focused offense, it's easy to take that weapon away. So hopefully they step up. It's at home. I'll take the Vikings.
Yeah, having seen Santa Teresa, pretty much everything revolves around their quarterback. They've got some other good skill players, but he is the main thing for them. I think Valley's played a tougher schedule. They've played a good Albuquerque high school schedule this year, and so the record really, to me, doesn't equal up. I think Santa Teresa hasn't played a bad schedule this year, but not nearly as strong as Valley's. And I think you get to this point in the season, that stuff catches up with you. You see that a lot in high school for teams that don't play significant, a tough schedule throughout the season. If they can survive that and get to the postseason, it makes them better. So I'm going to go with Valley. And this is one of Manny's favorite coaches up there at Valley.
Judge Chavez. Yeah, he's quite a guy, quite a lineage, and that's why I'm going to go with Valley, just because of his connection to the program.
Yeah, I think this will be, and Santa Teresa could surprise us all. I think they've got the talent. They're having a great season. It would be nice to see them get the win. Unfortunate that next week they'd have to play Roswell, but, that's just kind of how it goes. Sticking in Class 5A, this is an interesting matchup because this was a close game a couple weeks ago. It's not a long road trip. It's about 30 minutes from Valencia High School to Belen High School. Both teams are 6-4. Belen did get the win a couple weeks ago, but you play twice in a matter of 3 weeks. Just the little things in a game can change sometimes. So, this will be, I think, an intriguing game. My feeling is probably that Belen is the better team, but Valencia is another one of those teams that's having such a nice bounce-back year. They had 2 or 3 really tough seasons in the last couple of years, so they're trying to go out there and get a playoff win, and I got to feel like they feel confident that they can do it. But that being said, Brandon is going with Belen, and so is Brian. How about you, Jake?
I'll be taking Belen in this one as well. They just look like a better team. They've got the home advantage. Valencia does pass the ball a lot more, but Belen's moving it all around on the ground and the air. They're actually averaging more yards than Valencia because of that. They played 2 common opponents, and they played 3 common opponents here lately, and Highland, Los Lunas, and Valley. Belen was 2-1, and they were just dominant in their wins, whereas Valencia was 1-2, and when they were beaten bad. So I'm going to go ahead and take Belen on this one.
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think, again, because it's a rivalry game, I could see it being pretty close. I think overall, Belen's been the better team. And, again, a team that is also used to being in this spot in the postseason. That could also be another part here that you got a bunch of kids in Valencia that haven't been in this space before, whereas Belen has been competing for state championships in recent years. So I like the Eagles. Manny?
Yeah, Charles, I think you summed it up just perfectly. I like the Belen Eagles as well. Valencia has coming off 3 losses in a row. I'm going Eagles.
All right. And Tim?
Well, I'm going to go with Belen as well. I mean, you got a team. They're both 6-4, but I just think the fact that they just played each other, like Manny just alluded to, Valencia is kind of licking their wounds. And, Valencia's in Los Lunas, and they wear cherry, silver, and turquoise, which, I don't really like that matchup with as far as colors. It seems like it clashes to me. So that's really part of, maybe it's not part of my reasoning, but I'm going to throw it out there to kill time.
Okay, sounds good. By the way, other matchups in 5A, Piedra Vista is hosting Del Norte tonight, and Deming is hosting Farmington tomorrow. Talk about a road trip there. Farmington all the way down to Deming. That's a fun one. All right, moving on to Class 6A with Rio Rancho going to Manzano. Technically a little bit of a road trip. It is at Wilson Stadium, which is, Manzano High School is right next door to it. Rio Rancho is 4-6. Manzano is 6-4. And the Monarchs have come on really well here late in the season. They won that district with, Clovis and El Dorado and that whole group. And, when you look at their entire body of work, I think we all figured they weren't going to be as good as they were last year. Clearly, you lose a player like Jordan Bird, who graduated, and some of the other guys that were on that team as a defending state champion. They're not going to be as good, but overall, it wasn't a bad year for the Monarchs. Rio Rancho's been a little up and down this season. Brian likes the Rams, and I wonder if he's got some inside info. He always seems to have some inside info in those Albuquerque games. Brandon likes Manzano. I'm going to go Manzano. I think I've been impressed with the way they finished off their year, and there's some common opponents in there where I think Manzano has played a little bit better than Rio Rancho has this season. So, but it's a toss-up game. It's that 8-9 matchup thing that you could probably flip a coin and just as good as us doing some research on this. Manny?
Manzano's done a good job of sustaining some momentum after their great year last year. They're 6-4 now. They have 4 wins in a row. Rio Rancho is 4-6, is coming off of 2 losses. I'm going Monarchs.
Tim?
Yeah, you look at their common opponents, and they have the exact same record against them. They both lost to Centennial, both beat Clovis, both lost to Cruces, both lost to La Cueva, both beat West Mesa, and both lost to Volcano Vista. Talk about 2 evenly matched teams, both perennial powerhouses historically. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with Manzano just to maybe get a little bit ahead of Brian, but this one certainly is a coin toss in my opinion.
Jake?
Yeah, this one was a struggle for me. Rio Rancho is actually ranked higher than Manzano in the state, even with a 4-6 record, which I kind of thought was, kind of a slap in the face of the Monarchs because it does look like they are a pretty good team. I kind of had to go back and play around with the stats, and they're just super, super similar. I took the Monarchs earlier, and I don't see why they don't take this one either.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good game. It should be close, and they've both played well against really good teams in the state. You look at La Cueva, and you look at a few others. They've really, really played well against them, so... and also in Class 6A, I don't know if we'll have a whole lot of disparity in this one, but I still think it's an interesting matchup. It's old school Las Cruces versus Clovis. Cruces 6-4. They got the win over Mayfield in the rivalry game last week, so they've got a little bit of momentum. Clovis hasn't had a bad season, but 4-6 is certainly not what they expect, and I also wonder what the grumblings are like in Clovis. After so many great years with Coach Roanhouse. Not that Coach Fullerton's done a bad job, but there's obviously an expectation in Clovis of how good they think they should be. So I kind of wonder what the talk is around town there in Clovis about their football team. But Manny, what do you like?
Well, Clovis, I'm trying to recall their schedule. They've had some tough Texas teams that they played.
Yeah, 3 weeks in a row they played Lubbock schools. So yeah,
and so that's an important measurement. If this was in the purple place, I would be inclined to go with Clovis. But it's at the Field of Dreams, and this is tomorrow as well?
Yes, the Mayfield-Cibola game is tonight.
I'm going to have to go to Las Cruces, although I wouldn't be surprised if Clovis surprises us.
Yeah. By the way, both Brian and Brandon both went with Las Cruces High. Tim?
Well, I think I'm going to have to go with the consensus here. I think the Las Cruces Bulldogs have gotten hot here at the end of the year. I always trust their coaching, their style, but that doesn't mean, both things can be true. I think Clovis typically does the same thing. They get better, they get stronger, they're well coached. They've got the history behind them. When you're doing the right thing, you're not giving us 112 matchups or whatever. What 116? I don't even know what it is in this 116. So you've made some good choices, dear Charles, and you don't get enough credit for that. We always pick on you when you. We'll pick on you when we get to the NFL games. I think here in a little bit.
I know.
But anyway, I'm going to go with the Bulldogs at home at the Field of Dreams.
All right, Jake.
I think we're all going Bulldogs for all the reasons that everybody said. I think they're just going to be better at home. Clovis has had a pretty tough schedule. They've kind of been worked up with those Texas teams. They both played El Dorado, and it was kind of a very interesting game. Clovis won 47-0.
Something worth mentioning, though, El Dorado had their really good quarterback at the beginning of the season when they played Cruces. Yeah, okay.
And then Cruces, like I said, exactly. So they lost at 70-42. So they could both put up points. Hopefully Cruces' defense can show up, but I'm taking Cruces.
Yeah. Different El Dorado team for sure when Clovis played him. What were you going to say?
Just remember what Eric Roanhouse always used to say. Get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
And I agree. That's what you talk about Clovis's MO whenever they've been very good is sometimes they don't start off strong, but they definitely finish off strong. I mentioned a second ago, Mayfield and Cibola play tonight. That's the 5-12 matchup. And then Hobbs will host El Dorado in the 6-11 matchup in 6A. They do have a state championship game this weekend, 6-man football, which I know Tim has probably done some officiating. Have you done 6-man? Or?
I did one 6-man game this year.
Yeah, you did the Hondo and
Carrizozo.
Yeah. Animas taking on Elida. I think Elida beat Carrizozo in the semifinal game last week. So Animas versus Elida, 6-man championship. And for Animas, you talk about a team that had one of those great history teams in the state back in the late 80s and early 90s, and of course that town is not the same. What was it, a copper mine that was there or something? Yeah, and of course that shut down and changed the town forever. But they won a state title last year. I got to think it's special for some of those folks that have stuck around in that town to have a chance to maybe win another football state title. It's not. I'm sure it's not quite the same, but for those kids, they're going to be happy with it regardless. So.
And so, question for Tim: when you do a 6-man football game, do you have to wear track shoes? I mean, what's the big dynamic difference? I've seen only one. I was passing through Corona late one Friday night, and there was a game going on, so I went ahead and pulled in there and watched it for a while. And I was amazed at the speed and how fast everything was going.
Yeah, I kind of liken it to flag football, where everybody's eligible. Even the center is eligible. You snap it to what they call the quarterback, but then he has to lateral it in order for the player to be able to advance. So that's normally what they'll do. They'll snap it to a quote-unquote quarterback. Quarterback will lateral it to the real quarterback, and now he's eligible to run or to throw to any player. 15 yards for a first down. Usually the scores are 50 to 60. As an official, it takes, like you said, you run a lot, and the games take a long time because every score the clock stops. So yeah, they're interesting, definitely. And it's a smaller field, 80 yards, so it's wild.
Yeah, because I've driven by the field there at Hondo High School, and it's much smaller. And anytime you're driving through to Roswell and things like that. So anyway, that's one of the state championship games. Everybody else is in quarterfinals, I believe, this week, or first round games. I think 8-man is in their quarterfinals this week. All right, so we'll take a break and come back. 2A is also in quarterfinals, too. And we'll come back and pick some college games. You're listening to the KNMZ Football Roundtable on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, we are proud of the great high schools in Alamogordo, Cloudcroft, Mescalero, and Tularosa. Our student athletes set a valuable example for everyone to follow. They work hard to succeed in the classroom and in competitive sports and contribute enormous time and energy to bring pride to their schools and community. At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, as we work hard to protect the families and businesses of Otero County, we proudly take pause to follow our student athletes and extend our best wishes for their success every day in the classroom and on game day.
Hi, I'm Pastor Tim Brock, and I'd like to invite you to Christ Community Church, a place to belong, a place to come together, and a place to leave inspired. We have dynamic worship, engaging and relevant Bible teaching, and excellent ministries for everyone in the family. Our worship services are Sundays at 9 and 11:15. Christ Community Church, where it's about relationship, not religion, and where Jesus Christ is Lord. For more information, find us online at christcommunityalamo.org.
This is Brandon with Desert Sun. I'm not sure if you all know this, but Desert Sun Auto Group consists of 5 dealerships across the great state of New Mexico. This means we have 5 new car departments with over 500 vehicles to choose from and over 200 quality pre-owned vehicles. Majority of these vehicles, when bought from us, are backed with Desert Sun's lifetime powertrain protection. Stop by either Desert Sun Motors or Desert Sun Toyota today and let us help you find your new ride. See our full inventory at DesertSunMotors.com.
Hi, my name is Jake Roberts, and I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker Southern Nelson. Are you looking for your dream home, or are you looking to sell your property and need the guidance to get noticed? I can help you with professional real estate services today. Call me at 575-446-8574 or email me at jake@nmvistas.com. To view a list of our inventory, visit our website at alamogordo-coldwellbanker.com or visit us at 800 Scenic Drive in Alamogordo.
When someone thinks they have a better idea, like a new way to make it or a new place to take it, they start their own business. Every small business has not-so-small ambitions. We can help you with about every financial service you'll need, like e-statements to save your filing space, mobile banking from your smartphone, lines of credit for expansion, and online account access. To us, there's nothing small about small business. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back into the KNMZ Football Roundtable. Running a little bit of a short crew today, but we're handling it. We're doing all right. If you want to listen to some college football this weekend, we've got, I believe, Oklahoma State here on ESPN Alamogordo. No Aggies this weekend. They're off after they beat Alcorn State. Thankfully, they beat Alcorn State last week. So
They didn't want to, did they? They had a nice lead at at halftime, and then when I tuned back in later, it was like 45 to 40 something.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly great there. All right, we'll start off in the SEC. South Carolina going to Florida, number 15 Florida. The Gators don't get a lot of good spreads, and maybe it's because of what happened against Missouri last week. That was Jake was the one who had that, man. He wasn't here, but he had that down pretty well. Mizzou went in there and won handily, so we'll see if Florida can bounce back against South Carolina. But is it the revenge of who's the coach that's at South Carolina now? Was that Florida?
Muschamp.
Yeah, Muschamp is the South Carolina coach. So looking for some revenge there, Tim.
They can have him. I was so excited when the Gators hired Will Muschamp, and then I was quickly not excited about that. Yeah, no, Florida's been up and down. I mean, they have that big win against LSU, which is looking like a really amazing win at this point. But then the last 2 weeks, they've been blasted by a very similar spread, 36-17 to Georgia, 38-17 at home against Mizzou, which is not good. And then South Carolina, they're trending in the other direction. They've had a couple close losses. They almost beat Texas A&M, and then they beat Tennessee and Ole Miss. And any SEC game that you win is somewhat impressive. So, no, South Carolina's good, but I'm a Florida Gator fan. We need to see more out of Felipe Franks and Lamical Pirine. So, I'm going to go the Gators, trying to reverse a tough road here.
By the way, both Brian and Brandon went with Florida. So, Jake.
That's exactly what I want to hear. Speaking of quarterback Franks, didn't he get benched last week? 9 for 22. They sat him down. I think that there's a little bit of a quarterback controversy now in Florida. They're saying there's not, but there's actually they sat him, they benched him. I think that's going to hurt his ego a little bit. South Carolina's no joke. They're kind of hanging tough with only a 5.5 spread at home. I'm taking Carolina.
I'm gonna go Gators. I think they'll find a way to bounce back. South Carolina's got a solid defense, and there's some good things to be happy about there if you're a Gamecocks fan. But I think in the swamp, the Gators will find a way. I don't think it's gonna be pretty. It'll be one of those 17-13 games, but they'll find a way to win. Manny?
Yeah, in a real life stand-up fight between a Gamecock and a Gator, who would win?
I don't know.
Who would win?
Speed.
Could be.
Just think about that. Anyway, I'm going Florida.
All right. Florida State's at Notre Dame. This game's definitely changed some of the aspect with Ian Book being out, but we were talking about it during the break that with Brandon Wimbush still on the roster, that he played very well last year, and Brian Kelly made a gutsy call on the fact that he went with Book at the beginning of the season. You had your guy that played pretty decently last year, but you felt like you had somebody else on the roster that was worthy of being the starting quarterback, and it's paid off in dividends this year. So we'll see what happens in this game. Most years this would be a prime time, everybody wants to see it kind of matchup, but the Seminoles are not, at least in the last couple of years, haven't been the program that people expect them to be. Manny?
Well, the Irish faithful, all of us, will be paying close attention to this because the Irish are 9-0, but this is a dangerous time. As far as Brandon Wimbush, from everything I've read, he has stayed engaged. He has stayed very closely connected to the offense, the offensive coaches. He has been a very, very supportive and good support about this change at quarterback. So now that he has a chance tomorrow, I think it's justified and it works out fine. Because next we have Syracuse at Yankee Stadium, and then we go to Southern California. So we're not taking anything for granted. We're glad that we are where we are, and we're glad that we have Wimbush in the quarterback position rather than someone weaker than him. I'm going Fighting Irish.
Brandon and Brian both like Notre Dame as well. Tim?
Well, there's going to be a lot of said about Notre Dame, and they're really good this year. 9-0. I mean, they'll very likely be in the NCAA playoff. Florida State, though, man, they are that garbage dumpster fire thingy-majigger we always talk about. Willie Taggart, that coach has bounced around. He has struggled profoundly. He said he's not going to be calling the plays anymore because he feels like he's needed in other ways to lead the team. Needless to say, back in 1993, these two teams met. They called it the game of the century, I believe. And Notre Dame won at home, number 1 versus number 2. That is not the case today. This is just trying to give Manny an opportunity to talk about Notre Dame. Touchdown Jesus. So, yeah, I'm going to go Notre Dame, but I also will not be watching this game.
18-point favorite, and I still don't have Alabama on this week. I got it last week.
And how'd that work
out? Here.
I don't know. We could throw them on there if you want to. I mean, because everybody's going to pick Alabama. I guess we could talk. I mean, hey, we've got some time to spare. We could definitely talk about Mississippi State, Alabama.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, I'm taking Notre Dame. I don't see Florida State pulling this one off.
Yeah, I'll go Irish. But there's definitely been a couple games this year where Notre Dame hasn't played up to, I think, their talent level, and you just wonder if this could be that. I still think Florida State has athletes. They've got talented guys. Just clearly they're not being used in the right way. Yeah, last 2 games they lost to Clemson 59-10 at home, and then lost to NC State 47-28. NC State lost to Wake Forest last night, which Wake is actually pretty good, but still, yeah, not much to write home about if you're a Seminoles fan right now. The state of Florida I don't know. The Gators are okay, but the Hurricanes have fallen off a cliff too, and they were a top 10 team to start the season.
Yeah, everybody really was excited to see Miami at the beginning of the season, and they really looked like they were back, and that program might actually bounce back, but I haven't heard anything in weeks. They fell off the cliff.
Lost at home to Duke a couple weeks ago, which again, Duke is not bad. Cutcliffe has done a great job there, but
whatever happened to the turnover chain? Do they still have that?
Probably, but I don't think they've been using it as much as they did last year. So.
I think they overworked that last year.
It was kind of exciting. It was new and it was exciting. But who was it that has? I think Oregon State has a turnover chainsaw. So they bring out.
Seems dangerous.
Yeah, could be. So, the Portland Timbers, the soccer team, they saw for every goal they score, they saw off a piece of wood and like a bit from a big tree and put it up. It's kind of
that's really cool. Yeah,
it's kind of a cool thing. Bedlam, Oklahoma hosting Oklahoma State. I know Oklahoma's 21-point favorite, and this is, again, I think kind of similar to the Notre Dame game. There's not a lot of great college games this week. There's maybe two or three other I could have put on here, but I figured I'd go ahead and go with our guys since we got two Oklahoma people who aren't here. But Brian and Brandon both go with the Sooners here. I'm going to go Sooners. They'll take care of business at home, I think. Oklahoma State's an enigma to me. They beat Texas and then they go and lose to Baylor, which, again, Baylor's much improved this year. They've bounced back nicely, has that program. So Big 12's overall pretty solid this year, it would seem to be. Manny?
The over and under on this bad boy is 76.
Yeah, I could see it being higher than that. Oklahoma's put up, I think, like 60 points each of the last 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, and it's confusing. Oklahoma State beat Texas 38-35, and Oklahoma lost to Texas 48-45. And so this is just a head scratcher for me, but it's in-state rivalry. So who really knows? But I'm going to go with the points in Oklahoma.
And it should be said. I mean, Oklahoma had to eke it out last week against Texas Tech. That was everybody was excited about LSU Alabama on Saturday night last week. The game to watch was Oklahoma and Texas Tech for sure. Tim?
Yeah, I think Texas Tech would have been a good game to put on here, Charles. But whatever, we'll leave that alone. It's one of the few spreads that was like a push.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll talk Oklahoma because all I'm going to say is Oklahoma fans enjoy Lincoln Riley. Next year he'll be coaching the Dallas Cowboys, and Kyler Murray will be playing outfield for the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
So enjoy it while it lasts. I'm sure you'll recover and bring in somebody great. But, yeah, this is going to be Oklahoma Sooners. I think the spread is too much because it's a rivalry game. State's not as bad as the record indicates, but definitely going to take Oklahoma.
You think Jerry will actually fire Garrett?
I do.
Wow.
Keep clapping, Jason. Keep clapping.
Did you see the article in the Alamogordo Daily News about Jerry Jones this morning?
I did not.
Pick it up. It's worth reading. Worth reading.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But I don't see Jason getting fired. Jason allows Jerry way too much access to that team, whereas that was a contentious point with a lot of the other coaches. So I think with Jerry getting his way, I just can't see him going anywhere anytime soon.
Could be. Jerry will always get his way. He's the owner.
Well, Jerry will always get his way, but he's fought against Wade Phillips and some of the other ones, and they clashed heads, and they kept Jerry at bay to as much as they could. I just don't know. I think Garrett allows him to have that control. It is his team, so maybe that's a little not totally unreasonable, but I don't think he's going anywhere.
Interesting discussion. Troy Aikman says the whole thing has to be rebuilt.
And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong.
No. Yeah. Just what will happen versus what should happen.
Right. Now, I took Oklahoma State a couple weeks ago against Texas. I was very happy to pick that upset. I just don't see how they could beat Oklahoma, though. They're a good program. They're looking pretty good. But, I think the Sooners will take this one.
Yeah.
Sooners too, right?
Yeah, Oklahoma. So everybody likes Oklahoma. There, no big surprise on that one, but we'll see what happens. And for Lincoln Riley, the question mark with him is, he would be a first-time NFL head coach. So would he push back against Jerry? I think if he went in there, that'd be an interesting question. All right, so off to the Big Ten. Number 10, Ohio State goes to number 18, Michigan State. Ohio State getting 3.5 on the road here. Both Brandon and Brian both like Ohio State in this game, but this certainly feels like it's a pretty fair toss-up between these two. See what happens tomorrow. Jake?
Yeah, I have been flipping coins on this all morning. I've done a little bit of research. It's been a little tough. I think Ohio is the better team. They're averaging about 200 more yards per game. But Spartans' defense on paper, they're good. And if they can bottle up that running game, which it looks like they have been, I think that's just fantastic. Michigan's played two top-ranked teams in the last few weeks. I think they're ready. With only a 3.5-point spread, I'm gonna take Michigan.
All right, Mike's Michigan State in that one. Michigan State's a couple of solid wins over Purdue and Maryland. Lost a close game to Michigan a couple weeks ago, and we certainly, Michigan is looking pretty darn good at this point. Now we'll see how they finish off their season, but
I haven't heard anybody call for Harbaugh's job in a couple weeks. So
wait till he loses against Ohio State. I mean, that probably will change things immediately if that happens. I think the Buckeyes will take care of business here. It's a close game, and so many things could change this around, but I'm going to go Buckeyes. Manny?
So Ohio State beat Penn State 27-26. Michigan State beat Penn State 21-17. No help there. Ohio State is scoring 42 points per game. Michigan State's only scoring 23 points per game. That's the difference in this one for me. I'm going Buckeyes.
Tip.
Yeah, I'm going to follow the same logic as Manny, though I will give Jake plenty of props. He's been outstanding the last few weeks picking games. With that, you got to pick some tough ones. This one is a tough one. I left it blank coming into the show today because I didn't know. Kind of wanted to read the room, but I'm with Manny. I keep looking at the fact that Michigan State only scores 23 points a game. And yeah, they just beat Purdue, where Ohio State just lost to Purdue. So that could be the difference, but I think Ohio State, they're gonna get sharp. They're gonna use these tough few weeks to tighten their ship up a little bit. And yeah, I'm gonna go with the Buckeyes, but I have no confidence about this pick.
It was a really tough pick.
Yeah. Listen, Michigan State's a good pick, and you've, like I said, last couple weeks, like Missouri and a couple others, you've jumped out there and got them for sure. We have the Mountain West this year, and Fresno State's in the top 25. Actually, both these teams, I think, are in the top 25 in the AP poll, but in the college football playoff, it's just Fresno. Fresno, 2.5-point favorite on the road at Boise. This is a game that's coming up tonight, actually. Fresno's 8-1, Boise 7-2, and the Mountain West is actually better this year than they've been in a while, with Utah State in the mix as well. All three of these teams are pretty solid, so I think this is going to be an entertaining game. It's on the Smurf turf. It should be a pretty fun one. And I'll tell you, both Brian and Brandon have picked Boise State at home, even though Fresno State's the favorite and they're ranked. So, Manny, how about you?
Well, I'm inclined to go Fresno State. I've got family in that part of California, and so I'm familiar with the geographic region of Fresno. So I'm inclined to say that first. But more importantly, Fresno State is only allowing 12 points per game. Boise State's allowing 24. That's a big difference, so I'm going to go Fresno State.
All right. Tip.
Well, one of the key things I'm looking at is the fact that Fresno State plays a lot really good defense. They only average giving up 12 points a game. They had a common opponent in Nevada recently. In fact, they played them on back-to-back weeks. Both of them beat Nevada, but Boise State barely squeaked out a win against Nevada, 31-27. Fresno State, they won 21-3, and that was at Nevada. So my boy Charles Devine is going to be officiating on the blue turf in the high school levels in Lovington, right? Mm-hmm. And that'll be a really cold and cool experience for him. This is the blue field in the college world, but I think Fresno State, I think it's their year. I expect them to go on the road and win this one. I'm going to go with the Bulldogs.
Jake.
I'm actually taking Boise.
All right.
Fresno is favored, but they're only favored by about 2.5. Their quarterback plays real similar. With the Boise State having just a slight edge, though he has thrown more interceptions. The difference here is the rushing game. Mims for Fresno State's only gone for about 360 yards, and I say only, but when you look at Madison, who's gone for 726 yards for 10 touchdowns, it's a huge swing right there. I think Boise is probably the better rounded team in this one.
I think, I've just seen Boise struggle against some teams this year. I mean, maybe they play a little bit of a tougher schedule overall than Fresno has, but I think this is a coin flip kind of game. Boise at home has always been a tough team to go up there and beat, especially in the Mountain West, or go back to the old WAC days. That's been an almost impossible place to go and win. But I think Fresno has had some success there previously. I'm going to go with the Bulldogs. I think it's, again, a coin flip kind of game, and I'll make it a coin flip kind of situation here. So go 50-50 across the board on that. We'll see. That game, again, is tonight. And Tim mentioned there are some other games we didn't put on here. Alabama taking on Mississippi State. Kudos to Alabama. They're clearly the number one team in the nation after that win last week against LSU.
They made LSU look so bad.
I turned it off at half. I mean, I know it was only like bad. 13. It was like 16-0 or 13-0. I said, this is over.
Yeah, I think I put it on at around half, and I was like, oh, well, don't have to watch that. We're good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if you had seen the score at halftime, you would have said, okay, maybe LSU. They were never in that game at any point. I mean, it was not good at all. Another good game, one to watch out for, by the way. Washington State is at Colorado. That's going to be a curious one in the Pac-12. Washington State, I don't know if they're going to have enough to get in the playoff. They're going to need some people to help them out, but Kentucky at Tennessee, and Tim mentioned Texas at Texas Tech is going to be a good one this week too. So
Auburn and Georgia might be interesting as well.
Should be, yeah. Auburn, their main goal here at the rest of the season is to see if they can maybe ruin Alabama's day coming up here in a couple of weeks. That's about it for them. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More of the KNMZ Football Roundtable coming up for you next here on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
When someone thinks they have a better idea, like a new way to make it or a new place to take it, they start their own business. Every small business has not-so-small ambitions. We can help you with about every financial service you'll need, like e-statements to save your filing space, mobile banking from your smartphone, lines of credit for expansion, and online account access. To us, there's nothing small about small business. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
Are you looking to rent or need someone to manage your property? Hi, I'm Jake Roberts with Coldwell Banker, Sudderth Nelson. Did you know that we are the largest property management company in Alamogordo? Whether you were looking for a short-term housing solution or to turn an existing property into a great long-term investment, give us a call at 575-437-1137. Visit our website today at alamogordocoldwellbanker.com or come by and see us at 800 Scenic Drive.
This is Brandon with Desert Sun. I'm not sure if you all know this, but Desert Sun Auto Group consists of 5 dealerships across the great state of New Mexico. This means we have 5 new car departments with over 500 vehicles to choose from and over 200 quality pre-owned vehicles. Majority of these vehicles, when bought from us, are backed with Desert Sun's lifetime powertrain protection. Stop by either Desert Sun Motors or Desert Sun Toyota today and let us help you find your new ride. See our full inventory at DesertSunMotors.com.
Hi, I'm Pastor Tim Brock, and I'd like to invite you to Christ Community Church, a place to belong, a place to come together, and a place to leave inspired. We have dynamic worship, engaging and relevant Bible teaching, and excellent ministries for everyone in the family. Our worship services are Sundays at 9 and 11:15. Christ Community Church, where it's about relationship, not religion, and where Jesus Christ is Lord. For more information, find us online at christcommunityalamo.org.
At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, we are proud of the great high schools in Alamogordo, Cloudcroft, Mescalero, and Tularosa. Our student-athletes set a valuable example for everyone to follow. They work hard to succeed in the classroom and in competitive sports and contribute enormous time and energy to bring pride to their schools and community. At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, as we work hard to protect the families and businesses of Otero County, we proudly take pause to follow our student-athletes and extend our best wishes for their success every day in the classroom and on game day.
There are no roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Today's forecast is calling for mostly cloudy, a slight chance of snow up in the mountain areas in Alamogordo, high of 57, low of 36. For Cloudcroft today, high of 41 and an overnight low of 27. For tomorrow, we're looking at mostly sunny skies. Alamogordo tomorrow, high 56, low of 37. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 45, overnight low near 27 degrees.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back to the KNMZ Football Roundtable. Moving on to our pro games for this week. I put the 2 at the top probably because we can run through them very quickly. I don't know, Tennessee. I mean, I read an interesting article talking about Mike Vrabel, and that there's a feeling like the Belichick coaching tree has had almost no success. I mean, really. Bill O'Brien starting this year looks like maybe he may have the Texans going somewhere, but you look at Romeo Crennel and Charlie Weiss and Josh McDaniels when he went to Denver clearly didn't have a ton of success, but maybe Mike Vrabel's the guy that changes that a little bit for the coaching tree.
What about Matt Patricia? How's he doing with Detroit right now? He's
doing okay.
Right.
He had his little moment where he was, for somebody who's got the beard that he does and gets his styling tips from Bill Belichick, talk to a reporter. Can you show some respect for the situation? Can you not slouch, please?
Sit up.
Yeah. So
it was entertaining.
Yeah. I think the reaction to it was more the entertaining thing. But Patriots 6.5-point favorites. Very impressive win over New England last week. Tennessee with a nice win against Dallas on Monday night. I think this could be an interesting game, but certainly New England's getting 6.5 on the road. Jake?
Oh, I like Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to go in. I think they're going to get beat down, and I think Tom Brady's going to send them home with another loss. So I'll take New England on that one.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I mean, I think Tennessee's got some positive things going after last week, and they're not a bad football team, but I think New England's New England. So, Manny?
Well, I hate to be negative, but this is one of the games. It's not really a trap game, but you never know what consequences are going to come out of a matchup like this. For instance, what if Tom Brady got hurt?
Well, yes, you could say that for every game for sure. But
how often has Tom Brady been hurt?
Not very often.
Well, but
he's due.
And I'm not wishing for anything like that, but I'm just saying that you never know what's going to happen in these games in the NFL, and it's at Tennessee, so I think it's going to be more interesting than it looks like on paper here. But I have to go New England on the road.
This got dark really quick.
Yeah, it did.
I was like, ouch.
Brandon and Brian both going with New England. Tim?
You know, when old people fall down, sometimes that can be the beginning of the end for them. So if you can get to Tom Brady, I don't think Tennessee will though. I'm gonna go New England. Tennessee did look good against the Cowboys, or they were playing the Cowboys, and I don't know which one that is. So I don't know.
And something to be said, when he's gone up against his former coaches, the former coaches have had some success. I mean,
initially,
the Lions beat him
quite
this
a bit,
year.
yeah.
And I want to say when they played the Texans most recently, that was a close game.
Yeah, that first game back, they have a really crazy success rate, I think, against Belichick, which is shocking, but it's not sustainable for him. So.
Probably, yes, I would agree. This game is a little more interesting with Sam Darnold being hurt. Maybe changes things up. Might be a good thing for the Jets. Darnold has not played well in recent weeks. I don't know who the Bills are going with quarterback yet. It's either Anderson or Peterman. I don't believe Josh Allen was throwing this week, but
I thought I saw Allen.
It could be, and that could be a positive for the Bills too. I mean, it's only a 7-point favorite, and the defense is still good. I mean, the defense still plays well every week, but I'm going to go the Bills this week. I feel like the defense, I don't think the Jets are good. I feel like it's a toss-up game. Nobody really wants to watch this. It's more like, you'd be forced to. So if it pops up on Red Zone every now and then, I'll be happy. Manny?
I would be okay if you took Buffalo and Oakland off the schedule the rest of the week. And I don't know about this game, but it's in New York, so I'll go Jets, Jets.
Brian and Brandon both like the Jets. Tim?
I have to say, you want to see them on the Red Zone. This game might never have a Red Zone moment.
It's true. They're going to score points at some point, so,
Distant field goals, perhaps.
Yes.
A safety here and there.
And I will get to see it. Stephen Hauschka is probably the best player on the Bills team, so I'm okay with seeing
a fumble in the end zone.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, the over-under is 36.5, and I would be inclined to take the under. Josh McCown versus Nathan Peterman. Josh McCown, the last few years, has actually been good when he's been given the opportunity. Yep. It's kind of like a Ryan Fitzpatrick to some degree. Nathan Peterman has not been good when given opportunity. So I'm going to go Josh McCown, but this was almost like a fun one to watch just for kind of like a darker purpose.
Yes, I understand.
How much darker can we get? We were talking about hurting Tom Brady earlier.
It's all about keeping a theme alive.
We were not talking about hurting Tom Brady, and we don't want any old people to fall down.
No, I didn't. Nobody ever said we hope for that.
Hurt his hip or something. I don't know.
Simply commentary on what could happen.
Yes.
I don't see this one being very close. It's not going to be a fun game to watch. I think the Jets are going to have it. They're a 9-game favorite, even not knowing exactly who's starting. So, with not knowing who's starting for Buffalo yet. I'll take the Jets.
All right, Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Interesting game, especially in the AFC South. The Jags, 2.5-point underdogs on the road. And Brian likes Jacksonville on the road. No surprise that Brandon is going to go with the Colts. Tim, who do you like?
Oh, man, this is a tough one. There's another one I left blank on my sheet to kind of see what maybe the rest of the room said, kind of see if I had any kind of inclination late. I think Jacksonville's got to win this game. I think they're better than their 3-5 record would indicate. Blake Bortles is hot or cold. He will help you or he will harm you profoundly. I think Andrew Luck's been getting better and better. So I just think I like Andrew Luck. Got him on my fantasy team. I've always been a big fan of his. I like the Colts. I've been to Lucas Oil. I'm going to go with the Colts, but it wouldn't be a surprise at all if Jacksonville won going away.
Jake?
Jacksonville needs the win. They absolutely do need the win, but something that Tim kind of said is Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck is actually on pace to match or beat his career highs in a season this year. I don't know how. I don't know who he's throwing to, but he seems to be getting the job done. I thought Jacksonville was a tough team. Maybe they're not so tough this year as I kind of thought, so I'll take the Colts.
There seems to be some discord with the Jags, and I know they've had a week off, and maybe they've got that figured out. But there seems to be a lot of issues, and I think the defense is really not happy with Blake Bortles being the quarterback. And I just like the Colts at home. I think they are. I don't know if they're the better team, but I think at home I'll give them the edge here. But coin flip kind of game, Manny.
It is. It's at the oil can. I'm going Colts.
All right. Jake, you went Colts too, right?
Yes.
Okay. See if Brian picks one up on the rest of us. Chargers getting 10 at Oakland. Manny, take it away.
I really have nothing to say except that it's at the black hole, the biggity O, so I've got to go Raiders.
All right. Brandon and Brian both like the Chargers. Tim.
I've always been a Chargers fan. I don't know if I like the LA Chargers. I wish they were still the San Diego Chargers. Love Phillip Rivers, Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon. They're going to be too much, even on the road. Sometimes, in the NFL, even a 1-7 team can get up for a big rivalry game. So I don't think this is going to be a clear-cut win for the Chargers, but I'm going to pick them for sure.
Jake.
Yeah, I'm picking the Chargers. Oakland might come out and shock me, but it would truly be a shock.
They're all professionals. I mean, that's the thing with the NFL. I mean, very rarely are guys not going to show up and play. So if somebody doesn't take the game seriously, I think we saw that with Minnesota and Buffalo earlier this year, where I felt like Minnesota just didn't take that game very seriously. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. But, I think if Derek Carr has a solid game and they can avoid turnovers, it could be interesting. Dallas goes to Philly. Philly's getting 7 in this game. Both Brian and Brandon both like the Eagles. Tim, how you feeling about your Cowboys?
So I haven't had a TV all season because I've been in the process of moving and had my DirecTV on pause and suspended, whatever. Still don't have TV, and I'm kind of glad. I haven't had to watch the Cowboys all that often. I didn't even get to watch them Monday for obvious reasons.
And this is Sunday night, too.
This is Sunday night. I'm going to have other plans. I might turn it on just see on my phone or something. Dallas is disappointing. I mean, but it makes sense. They really don't have any amazing players beyond Ezekiel Elliott. They got some up-and-comers on the defense, but how are they going to score points? I don't see how. So I'm going to go. I don't want to say it. I'm not going to go with the Cowboys. Does that sound better?
Sure.
You understand, right?
I get what you're saying. Okay. I won't make you say it.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I don't think it's my turn yet. I still want to hear it. I'm waiting. Both these teams have not been good over their last 5 games. They're only 2-3. Yeah, I don't know. I watched a little bit of the Dallas game. It was pretty bad. I've seen a little bit of Philadelphia. It doesn't look. They certainly don't look like the Super Bowl form that they were last year. I still think Wentz is probably the better quarterback, so I'll take Philly.
I'm going to go Philly. I think there's just too many question marks in Dallas, and you can kind of... I do think this is the beginning of the end for Jason Garrett, especially that loss to Tennessee at home last week. That was a game they should have won. Manny?
Home field advantage, and this is a dangerous place to play, so I'm going to go Eagles.
All right, everybody likes Philly. Now, just so you know, the reason I put this on here is because of Brian. He's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. He's a part of our group.
Hold on, let me go ahead and fill in this sheet before anybody makes their picks.
Exactly.
Great show, guys. We'll see you next week.
Chiefs are at home against the Arizona Cardinals. They're getting 16.5. I think we all know where everybody's going with this. I like the Chiefs. Manny?
Yeah, Kansas City.
Tim?
94% of ESPN picked the Chiefs. The other 6% accidentally hit the Arizona Cardinal button, I guess. So.
Or they're Cardinals fans.
No. I just think they made a mistake.
They were both red,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
They got confused with the darker color. I get it. So, Chiefs for Tim, Jake.
Chiefs.
All right, everybody likes the Chiefs there. I know there was a couple other better games on there, but all right. It gives everybody a win. It makes us seem like we're smarter at the end of the week when we get 10 or 11 instead of, 7
Tim's
or
not
8,
giving me very many opportunities to catch up this week.
Go Wildcats.
Yeah, go Wildcats against Zuni. And, again, we've got NFL on Sunday. We got 3 games for you. We got some college football tomorrow for you guys as well here on ESPN Alamogordo, so check all that out. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Hopefully we'll have a full crew. You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7, Southern New Mexico's sports leader, KNMZ Alamogordo.
The Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
Hour one in the books, another hour to go. It's Adnan Burke and Jonathan Vilma in for Stephen A. Smith today on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Thanks so much to our guests. Already had Louis Riddick, our NFL insider extraordinaire, and Alex Honnold. He is a mountain climber who's proficient at free soloing. Want to know what that means? It means you climb a mountain without a rope. Your fingernails, your shoes, your guts, your guile. That's how you get it done. Free Solo is the name of the documentary featuring Alex in his bid to climb El Cap, which is in Yosemite Park, 3,200 feet. Make sure you check out the movie, available in theaters nationwide. Hoping to get Jerry Rice, the Hall of Famer, to join us momentarily, as he's also got a